What if you knew the script and refused to follow it? Two women did just that. They were writers. They'd written a silly smut novel together, pages full of cliches and predictable turns. One night they read it out loud for a laugh. They reached a wild, over-the-top line. Then, in a blink, the world went dark. Blackout to mansion interior. They woke up inside the world they'd created, not Diana and Molly anymore. Diana woke up as Tina. Molly woke up as Stella. Tina and Stella, two beautiful women obsessed with the CEO, Kevin Hudson, destined to fight for his affection, claw and scheme, then lose to Grace. That was the plot they'd written. That was their character's destiny. Recognition dawned. They were inside their own book. The servants whispered. The air smelled of manufactured drama. Invisible strings tugged. The plot wanted them to argue, to cry, to be rivals. Instead, they turned their backs on the script. They made a pact. Be best friends, not enemies. They refused to perform bitterness. They would navigate this bizarre reality together. People watched, confused. Where the house expected screaming, they shared cake. They broke plates for fun.
The two madams are at it again, a maid whispered.
But it was joy, not jealousy. Freedom from the script. Kevin had a favorite line.
If I had not been drugged that night, you would never have gotten into my bed.
Are you a broken record? That drugging line is getting really old. It sounds stupid.
He froze. The untouchable genius called out. Mockery chipped his perfect mask. Something real flickered. Meanwhile, Stella met Mike, Kevin's brother. In the old story, he was a tragic prop. She'd look down on him, eyes only for power. But Molly, inside Stella, saw differently. She wasn't bound by shallow values.
He is so handsome, he can sit on my head if he wants. I would still like him.
Not pity, genuine desire. He felt seen. Their pact began changing everyone around them. Then came the $50 million scene. Originally, Stella hired a stand-in to vent. This time, they did it together, in front of the real Kevin. He processed through the old plot lens, mistaking hate for love.
She isn't hitting him because she loves you. She hates you, but can't hit you.
The 50 million proof of love was a lie. They weren't obsessed, just angry. A paid punching bag, nothing romantic. They noticed Kevin's height insecurity. They replaced his shoes with obvious lifts. He didn't notice. He only ever looked at his face. He set up a seductive scene. Wobbly. The untouchable CEO looked silly and small. The tense romance collapsed into farce. Another piece of the old story broke off. Mrs. Hudson changed. She saw her sons becoming human. Anger, joy, unprecedented. She fussed, handed pocket money, whispered about grandbabies. But the plot still pushed. A wedding. He expected tears and rivalry.
I will not lose. But this isn't about love. It's about business.
She named her price. Bids flew. A romance turned to merger math. They weren't prizes. They were partners, making the men pay. The perfect heroine finally arrived. Grace, flawless on paper. Painter, equestrian, kind, intelligent. She should have captured both hearts, but she imitated. She wasn't original.
You can copy my wife's words, but you cannot copy her voice.
Kevin, rattled by Tina's honesty, found Grace hollow, even mocked her. The chosen lady failed spectacularly. Then came the real twist. Vivian. In the real world, she mocked the writers for their silly novel. She transmigrated too. She believed plot was destiny. She called them side characters, doomed to fail. She had no idea she was talking to the authors of her reality. Diana and Molly knew every beat, and how to break it. Main character energy means nothing if the story moves on without you. Vivian decided to humiliate Tina and Stella at the wedding. She recruited Charles, a not-so-bright stand-in. But writers smell traps. They were a step ahead. On the day, Tina and Stella were ready. They let the villains set the board. But the cameras belonged to the brides. The smoke missed its targets and hit its makers. Charles followed. On the big screens, their own trap exposed them. Public backfire. Tina and Stella didn't want revenge. They wanted what was theirs. 50 million refunded. The wannabe protagonist was reduced to a joke. Side characters? They were running the show. They rewrote the scene. Time for the ending to break, too. The ceremony became the final act of rebellion. It was supposed to bind two women to two powerful men. Instead, they turned to each other. Vows became mutual blessings.
Octuplets in one go.
99 sons in a single birth.
The room blinked, then smiled.
Both brides are tied for cutest in the universe.
Submission turned into a party for two best friends. This story asks, if you know the script, must you follow it? Diana and Molly knew every lazy beat and tragic end. The book demanded rivalry. They chose solidarity. Choosing each other was choosing freedom. Characters can make choices the writer never intended. They made it funnier, warmer, more human by saying no. They secured money, laughed at insecure men, and did not suffer.